This is Sarah, and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video, I'm going to show you how to make these cute little stuffy eggs. Now, I wrote this pattern a few years ago, and I used 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 yarn. This is just some Red Heart Super Saver, and they turned out so much fun. When Red Heart came out with their new Soft Essentials, I thought it would be fun to try to do the same pattern with that. And so I think they turned out terrific. They're super fun, and they measure about 5.5 inches wide and about 6.5 inches tall. So they're a nice size to stick in an Easter basket to use as a decoration, or maybe just place markers at your table. Put one of these on each person's plate if they're coming over for a meal or something, and they can take this fun little stuffy Easter egg home. This is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath the video. What you're going to need to make some of these fun Easter egg stuffies is, of course, some yarn. Like I said, you can either use 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 yarn to make them like this, or you can use 1 strand of the Soft Essential yarn, or any yarn that is, there it goes, a number 5 yarn. We use 2 strands of worsted weight number 4 or 1 strand of number 5. Now we're going to be stitching today with our J-hook. And although this yarn asks for a bigger hook, I want to use a J-hook so that we can pull those stitches in tightly, so when we stuff it, the stuffing doesn't come through. So we're using what's called a J10, which is a 6.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're also going to need a needle with a nice big eye in it so we can get that thick yarn through when we weave in our ends. You're going to need just a handful of stuffing for each one. It's kind of up to you how tight you want to stuff it. And this is just your basic fiber fill polyester type stuffing. And the last thing that you're going to need, of course, is your scissors. For the demonstration, we're going to be using the Soft Essential yarns that, like I said, is a number 5. And we're going to be making one similar to these. Now you're going to need to make 2. You'll need to make a front and you'll need to make a back. And I like to do the different colors on the front and then solid on the back. That way, if I'm using them for decoration, I can do them both ways in my decoration arrangement. But you don't have to. You can do them any way that you want. You can do them all solid, or you can do them 2 colors or 3 colors. The egg is basically made in 3 rounds. We make 2 and then we put them together. I'm going to begin with my pink yarn. I'm going to make my slip knot. And then I'm going to chain 5. I'm going to join this chain 5 into a circle by putting the tail over the end of my hook and pulling it through that loop. And then we'll just snug that down. And then we'll make that little stay knot that I do to keep it from coming undone. All right, now we're going to be stitching in this 5 chain loop. Make sure your tail of yarn is on this side because we're going to stitch over it, and our working yarn is on this side. We're going to put our hook through. There we go. Pull up a loop and chain 3. Now this chain 3 here counts as our first double crochet. And now we're going to place 9 more double crochets in this chain 5 loop so that we have a total of 10 double crochets, because again our chain 3 counts as our first double crochet. In the loop, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, go through the second 2. And this might be a little bit of a tight fit to get all of those double crochets in there, but we want it to be nice and snug. And remember to stitch over your tail, because we're going to use that to close that hole up, because we don't want a hole in the center of our Easter egg. All right, let's count. Here's our chain 3, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You do one more. So there's 10 double crochets. Counting our chain 3, we're going to join to the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. And we're not going to chain 3. If we were using the same color, we would go ahead and chain 3 to start our next row. But because I'm changing colors, I'm going to go ahead and cut that yarn, leaving myself enough to weave that in. I'm going to grab my teal, because that's going to be my next color, and I'm going to join that in and then chain 3. When you're changing colors, make sure you do your chain 3 or your chain 1 or whatever you're doing after your color change. Because if we would have gone ahead and done our chain 3 and then changed colors, this chain 3 counts as a double crochet, so we would have one double crochet the wrong color. All right, now for row 2, we're going to place 2 double crochets in each stitch around. So our chain 3 counted as our first double crochet, so we're going to go right in that same stitch and stitch another double crochet. And now we're going to stitch 2 double crochets in each of the 9 double crochets around. This is called a double crochet increase, as we're increasing from 10 double crochets on our first row to 20 on our second row. Two double crochets in each double crochet around, increasing from 10 to 20 double crochets. All right, let's count, see how many we got so far. Here's our chain 3 in our first double crochet, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18. So we need to do 2 more in this last stitch. So we went from 10 to 20. So now we're going to join to the top of the chain 3 again, and we're going to change colors again. If you're not changing colors, you don't have to take 2. If you're not changing colors, you do not have to cut your yarn, and you can go ahead and do a chain 1. But we're going to be changing colors, so I'm going to go ahead and cut my yarn and bring in my purple one. Take 2 again. I'm going to bring in my purple one, just like we did on the blue, but I'm only going to chain 1. And this chain 1 does not count as a stitch. When we did the chain 3, it counted as a double crochet, but we're going to be doing some single crochets, some half double crochets, and some double crochets in order to get the shape of the egg. This row can be a little confusing, so we're going to take it nice and slow. For the first 5 stitches, we're going to be doing single crochets. So what we're going to do in the first stitch is we're going to stitch 1 single crochet. So we put our hook through, pull up a loop, yarn over, and just go through both those loops. In the next stitch, we're going to stitch 2 single crochets. The next stitch is 1 single crochet. The next stitch is 2 single crochets. And then we have one more stitch. We're going to stitch 1 single crochet in. So over those 5 double crochets, we stitched 7 single crochets because we did an increase in every other one. Now we're going to stitch some half double crochets. We're going to yarn over and go in this next stitch, and we're going to be stitching 2 half double crochets in this next stitch. So we yarned over, we go through, pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through all 3 of those loops. We go and do it again because we made 2 half double crochets in that stitch. Now we're going to make 1 half double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to make 2 half double crochets in the next. Oops, there we go. Must have split on me a little. 1 half double crochet in the next, and then 2 half double crochets in the next stitch. And so what we did was over those next 5 stitches again, we have 8 half double crochets. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 7 singles and 8 half double crochets. Now we're going to do the top of the egg. And the top of the egg we're going to do double crochets. So we're going to begin with just 1 double crochet in the next stitch. Then we'll do 2 double crochets in this next stitch. One double crochet in the next, 2 double crochets in the next, and 1 double crochet in the next. And so what we did there is over those 5 stitches we did 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to repeat what we did over here with the half double crochets. 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet in the next, 2 half double crochets in the next, 1 half double crochet in the next, and then we end with 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2. And you can see the shape of the egg. This is the top part. Then we round around, and this is the bottom. We're going to join to this first single crochet, not the chain 1, but the single crochet with a slip stitch. Now do not cut your yarn, just pull your loop out, because we're going to use this yarn to attach it to the second egg in order to make it a stuffie. But we need to work on the back and get these ends all tidied up. The first thing you need to do is pull that string gently, and you'll see that hole in the middle close. And you'll need to take your needle there we go, and just weave that in, going through the stitches until you're happy with how tight that is, going back and forth so that it holds nice and snug. And we'll do that with all of these ends. They all need to be tidied up except for the loop that we have still attached. So I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and go ahead and get the back of this all tidied up. Let me cut that center one that we just did. And then I'll show you how to make it into the Stuffie. Here's a solid lavender one that I made exactly like the one I showed you how to make, only I didn't change colors. I kept it solid. You can do them all different colors on either side if you want to. I just really like having a solid color on one side so that when I decorate I can have some solids and some that are different colors. Now everything's all tidied up, and we left our loop here because we're going to use this to hook them together. Now we're going to put the backs together, making sure we get the top together so our shape stays right. And we're going to slip stitch these together. So I'm going to go ahead and just make a chain one, snug that down so we have something to work with. And we're going to go through the stitch here and the stitch on the other side, pull a loop through, and slip stitch. And we're going to do this all the way around this egg, and then we'll leave a little opening so that we can stuff it. And one thing to remember when you're putting it together like this, make sure that you do this just a little bit looser on the edges because we are working on a curved edge, and so we want to make sure, there we go, that we're not pulling too tightly, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You don't want it so loose that your stuffing wants to fall out, but you also want to be able to ease it around the edges so that the little stuffy egg keeps its shape. Alright, so I'm just going to continue working around the edge of my egg, slip stitching together. And once I get about right here, I'm going to stuff it right through here. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and stuff my egg, and the amount of stuffing that you use is up to you. If you want it to be nice and tight, you can add more. I like mine to be a little squishy, just enough for it to hold its shape and still be squishy. Alright, so I'm going to continue slip stitching around the edge, closing it up with that stuffing inside. Just pushing it out of the way of the stitches. Okay, let's see. Getting a little stringy there. All right. One more little stitch. Cut this off. And I'm going to go ahead and just go through the back. Pull that loop to the back. Give it a little bit of a pull. Here's the top of my egg. Needs a little shaping, doesn't it? All right, and then I'm just going to use my needle again, weave in this end. And something I do a little bit different on this one is I just go down inside the egg and go through that stuffing, because that's going to hold it in place, and just pull that through. And I'll do it again just to make sure it's going to stay put. And there you go. A cute little stuffy egg. You can fill it with beans, or you can leave the bottom open and put some candy inside, or even a real egg. Anything that you want to do with it. It's super fun to make. They're super fun to give, and they're great for decorations. This is my Easter egg stuffy crochet pattern.